Welcome back, everybody. Today we have some more Nick Crowley, and this is YouTube's Darkest Channels number 7. For the love of everything righteous, please head over to Nick Crowley's channel, subscribe, like his content, and just support the man. But without further ado, let's get into it.
I'll tell you what we're going to do today more than anything else. We're going to do this. Nice guy must die. Nice guy must die.
Nice guy must die? Oh God, chapter 1.
This is my house from the street. Here is my car. This is a 2-bedroom brick ranch, conveniently located.
It's the final day of February 2008. A 47-year-old man living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania named George Sedini publishes his very first video to YouTube under the channel MOS B46PGH.
Interesting name to have for a channel.
I paid $79,000 for this in 1996. That's considered a lot, believe it or not.
The upload, titled How George Pittsburgh Lives, was
Wait, how much was it? I gotta rewind that, I'm sorry.
Paid $79,000 for this in 1996. That's
$79,000 in 1996. I was 4 years old. If only I spent more time looking into the housing market than playing with Power Rangers, then just maybe, I'd have a house.
Considered a lot, believe it or not.
The upload, titled How George Pittsburgh Lives, was almost like an old-school house tour of sorts, as George proudly displays the outside of his home before then doing the same inside.
Open it up. Oh, someone left it unlocked. That's not good. Inside, okay. Pan to the other side.
Seemingly making a point of mentioning every minute feature in the otherwise dim and empty home.
Here's my big screen TV. It's my computer, couch and chair, they match. Dining room set, shoebox full of old pictures.
To anyone who may have stumbled upon this strange video or Sedini's channel in general back in 2008, it would likely come off as entirely uninteresting and far from anything disturbing.
Right.
However, to those who find it today, this couldn't be more different, as the account carries with it a layer of disturbing context due to the events that transpired after this first video was published. Events that have since transformed the MOS B46PGH page into one of YouTube's darkest channels.
Please meet every woman's dream.
Something so she remembers your name.
I have a feeling
Make sure he's someone you can trust. Just be careful.
that he probably killed somebody.
See what comes back.
Or he goes insane. Either of the two.
Little hallway, 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms. To the right is my bedroom.
Without any context, it's hard to know what the purpose of George Sedini's first video was, if it even had one at all. The entire thing just felt so random. But within the footage itself was one clue that hints at the fact that George actually had a very specific reason for uploading this, with that clue coming in the form of a book on his coffee table.
You know, it's weird. Like, typically when I come across anything that's been recorded in the 90s on like a camcorder or like a VHS tape, it looks pretty nostalgic and, you know, it brings back good memories. But for some reason, this video makes me feel a little weird. I don't know. I just feel like something is either in this house that's not supposed to be in it, or he's hiding a dead body. I don't know. That's what it's giving me. That's the kind of vibes I'm getting.
Okay, come over here. There's some reading material that we're all familiar with.
It was called How to Date Young Women for Men Over 35, which was about as creepy as it sounded.
My first guest today is a 51-year-old bachelor who says if you're a single woman over 30, you're a dating has-been. Please meet every woman's dream, Don Steele.
You're a dating has-been?
Its author, Don Steele, had made a living as a dating counselor and life coach, creating various books and programs that were geared towards socially awkward men, exploiting them with the promise that someday they'll be able to get the younger girl of their dreams,
Is he
even
married?
after they reached middle adulthood.
I bet
and all
you
that they
he
had to
isn't.
do was pay for his course, pay for the book, and dedicate themselves to becoming more desirable. And George Sedini was the perfect target.
Scam.
Despite having a successful career as a systems analyst at a law firm, he struggled to maintain any relationships with the women that he met. It had been well over a decade since he last had a girlfriend, and despite desperately wanting one, George just seemed to lack the ability to connect with women on any level, even as just friends. And as his isolation began to grow, so too did his obsession with finding a girlfriend.
Yikes.
George had nearly given up these pursuits too, until he was introduced to Don Steele's course, viewing the program as his last real shot at human connection, obsessively reading the book to the point that he was supposedly able to recite passages by memory alone. On top of this, he would also attend many of this supposed guru's in-person seminars, with some of his visits even being captured on camera and later posted onto Don Steele's YouTube channel.
Wow.
It used to be down here. It was called a codpiece, and it's gradually over the years moved up here. So
I think these like dating seminars that's supposed to like help men find women, man, I think they're so corny, they're so cringe. I don't know. I don't think this stuff actually helps. I always felt like this is just one big giant scam, you know? There could be so many more things you could be doing to like improve your chances of meeting someone out there. Most of these seminars are ran by other men that don't know what they're talking about. But I think that a lot of men who take these courses just lack confidence. And that's, I think, a really big one. It could be, you know, a plethora of things that they're going to these seminars for. But I think two big ones are self-esteem issues and just confidence, you know, and you can build confidence in many ways. But I think that seminars like these can be really misleading.
it's read like an erect you-know-what.
And it was in these courses where George was subjected to all sorts of bizarre and unsettling ideology.
Turn around here, look at me, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to do today more than anything else. We're going to do this.
Yikes.
Nice guy must die.
But despite agreeing with this man wholeheartedly and following all of his work, George was still making very little progress, which was evident by the footage of him attending these seminars, as he appears incredibly nervous and kept mainly to himself. And so, recognizing that George had much to improve on, he was given an assignment by one of his instructors. He was told to film a video of his house, so that the instructors and everyone else in the class could see if he was really making himself and his environment desirable enough to any woman who might come over.
Okay, couch and chair, they match. The woman will really be impressed.
I mean, if you got a house like this in 2025, man, you set, you good. Because the housing market is so fucking expensive right now, dude. But I get it. This is like in the 90s. But I mean, come on, bro.
Knowing this, the footage feels so much lonelier, as it was almost like he was trying to sell his way of living as being good enough for a partner that he was really no closer to finding. There's something so depressing about it. And this wasn't his only video.
Let me show you how to block this ad. First, you're gonna click on this video, then you're gonna download Pi. It's an ad blocker that's
All right.
It is easy for me to hide from my emotions for one more day. Take a long drive in the car, listen to some music, daydream, or just do some mundane task around the house that really doesn't need to be done, that's not too important. And there you go, one more day, and one more day turns into one more year.
Months later, on June 23rd, 2008, George would return with an upload he had filmed inside of his basement, and in it we get more insight on just how severe his isolation had become, though he still held on to a sliver of optimism thanks to Don Steele's course.
Now, RDS says that I have approximately maybe 15 more years to be successful at this, and when I heard that, I wanted to continue immediately to start moving on this. I didn't realize I had that much time. So what my objective is to be...
He said that this guy only has 15 more years to find someone that he could date. See, this is so toxic. When you have a very impressionable guy like this dude who's been lonely, desires companionship, has low self-esteem, low confidence. I mean, I think that is like a recipe for somebody who will do any and everything to seek out love, as well as adopting these very unhealthy ideologies, you know? I mean, did this guy have any friends? I mean, I know it sounds a little cheesy, but I mean, sometimes talking about your feelings and having deep conversations with your friends, it goes a long way, you know? I mean, seek therapy, get counseling, you know? there's nothing wrong with having a therapist, you know? Just having someone there to just hash it out with, talk about what's bothering you, and go through all that trauma. And man, it's really, really helpful. I advise anybody out there to, you know, seek out therapy, man. It's really helpful. But sometimes when people don't take care of their mental health, you're easily vulnerable to stuff like this, you know? So that's kind of where I see this going.
Real, and to learn to be emotional, and to, you know, to be able to emotionally connect with people.
I mean, he has everything. I'm sorry for pausing it, but he has everything. I mean, he just doesn't know it, you know? He has his own place, got a nice car. I mean, a decent car, right? I mean, probably a car to get him to point A to point B. That's probably a nice car in the 90s, right? Probably has a good job. He has everything he needs to, you know, for a companion. He just has to believe in himself that he is worthy enough for companionship. A lot of the times it's just, you got to look yourself in the mirror and just say, hey, you know, do I love myself? If not, then why not? And that's a deeper question, you know?
Before he eventually reverts back to talking about his uncanny desire to find a younger woman.
Because when I'm 10 to 20 years older than she is, you know, she has to feel good about this thing.
Ending the video with hints of an uncertain future.
I'm going to post this and see what comes back.
Oh, gosh. Yikes.
He would never upload again.
What?
And soon after, it appears George gave up trying, essentially accepting his life of loneliness.
Oh no.
But while this would be the last video made to his channel, he wouldn't leave the internet entirely. Soon after this final video was posted, a website was launched called GeorgeSidini.com, which served as a place for George to blog about his emotions. And while something like this could have been beneficial for him, this website would instead only serve to capture his descent into madness. An immediate red flag was raised by the very first text you see on the website, as George wrote, "Why do this? To young girls? Just read below. I kept a running log that includes my thoughts and actions after I saw this project was going to drag on," with the line serving as some sort of bizarre disclaimer, though with no other context. George's entries began. December 22nd, 2008. Time is moving along. Plan to have this done already. I will just keep a running log here as time passes. Many of the young girls here look so beautiful as to not be human. Very edible. After joining this gym, started lifting weights.
Very edible? What do you mean by that? Oh, God. Don't tell me this dude eats a young girl, bro. Are you kidding me? How does it get to this point, man?
Weights and like it. This early post encapsulates what this blog would be focused on: the young women he would see throughout the day, his time at the gym, and his plan. This plan was never expressly stated on the website, but it was something he obsessed over, mentioning it in every single one of his posts and dubbing it the exit plan, even going as far as to provide a date and time for it: January 6th, 2009. At 8:15 p.m.
Oh gosh.
Before this day would come, however, he would provide further insight into just how lonely he was. Moving into Christmas again. Last Christmas with Pam was in 1983. Who knows why? I'm not ugly or too weird. No sex since January 1990 either. I was 29. No shit. Over 18 years ago. I actually look good. I dress good. I'm clean shaven, bathe, touch of cologne. Yet 30 million women reject me. Over an 18 or 25 year period. That's how I see it. 30 million is my rough guesstimate of how many desirable single women there are.
But you're not, no, dude, no. You're not going up to 30 million women, though, and asking them out, you know? If you go up to 30 million women, I am 1,000% sure that a couple of them, not even a couple, you're going to get a couple of yeses, like, yeah, let's go out. A lot of the times, and I'm not like, you know, an expert or nothing, so take this at face value, but a lot of the times we get in our own head about this stuff, you know? You see someone that you fancy, you know, what's the big deal of just going up to them and saying hello? Like, hey, you know, I just don't want to bother you, just, I thought you looked cute. Just, you know, have a nice day, or just, you know, you got to start off small. Maybe join a club, you know, go to like a club that you know, that has one of your favorite hobbies, maybe go to the gym, go to a running club, and there's a lot of, it's just, you just gotta go out and put yourself out there and start socializing, and eventually you'll run into people that look good. You know what I mean? Doing this stuff right here is scary. I mean, I think that a lot of us have, experienced loneliness, maybe to a different degree than others have, but I think that if you see yourself being super lonely, cooped up, and not really socializing as much, then I think that you got to go out and meet some people. Try to get out of your comfort zone. I know it's scary. I'm an introvert, so I've always found it really hard to put myself out there too, but I do it. And you know what's crazy? I make friends really easily. I mean, I meet people I meet someone new probably every month. And it doesn't have to be someone I'm trying to date. I meet, just friends that I just meet along the way, I don't know. Maybe I just give off a friendly persona. I don't know. But I think that you just got to socialize, join clubs, if you have a favorite hobby, go out and maybe join a club about it, But if you're cooped up and you've been lonely for a long time and you don't get out much and you have all these unhealthy and toxic thoughts just bouncing around in your head, then yeah, that has a good chance of manifesting into something really horrible. And a lot of people sometimes act on those horrific thoughts. So that's what this guy is going through.
Other posts of the same nature. The day eventually came for his big exit plan, January 6th, with George writing one message that afternoon. I can do this. This log is not detailed. It is only for confidence to do this. The future holds even less than what I have today. It is 6:40 p.m., about an hour and a half to go. God have mercy. I wish life could have been better for all, and the crazy world can somehow run smoother.
And he thinks he has no time left. You do. What are you talking about? You have plenty of time.
I wish I had answers. Bye. Despite this appearing to be his final post, George Sidini wasn't quite finished, as he would come back only hours later, writing simply, "It's 8:45 p.m. I chickened out. Shit. I brought the loaded guns, everything."
What?
Whatever George Sidini had been planning that day, it was clear that his exit plan was something incredibly disturbing. And based on his use of guns, plural, it was likely not just an exit plan for himself.
Oh my gosh.
But thankfully, he didn't go through with it. In fact, he seemed to have dropped the plan entirely, as months would go by without any update to his blog. Though this wouldn't last, as in April of 2009, he began posting yet again, with these entries being even more disturbing. July 23rd, 2009. Wow, I just looked out my front window and saw a beautiful college-age girl leave Bob's house, across the street. I guess he got a good lay today. College girls are hoes. I masturbate, frequently. He is about 45 years old. She was long-haired, hot little hottie with a beautiful bod. I masturbate, frequently. The strangest part of this entire website was, according to those he worked with and the neighbors, they all thought George was normal. A little off, sure, but it appeared that these disturbing thoughts and plans were kept solely in his blog, and solely in his mind. But on July 28th, 2009, this would all change. George had boarded a Port Authority bus that day and took a seat, carrying with him some sort of duffel bag, and as the ride commenced, he unzipped the bag and began to fiddle with something inside of it. An anonymous man sitting next to him noticed this, and curiously leaned over to see what he was doing. In George Sidini's hand was what appeared to be a grenade.
What?
The stunned passenger ran off at the next stop and immediately alerted the police. But bizarrely, nothing actually came of this. No explosions happened that day, and upon police eventually tracking down Sidini 2 days later, he was searched, but there was no sign of this supposed grenade, and the man who had reported this incident was unable to positively identify him. And so, George was released, allowing him to continue on with his day, and to continue on with his posting. August 3rd, 2009. I took off today, Monday, and tomorrow to practice my routine and make sure it was well polished. I need to work out every detail. There is only one shot. Also, I need to be completely immersed into something before I can be successful. I haven't had a drink since Friday at about 2:30. Total effort needed. Tomorrow is the big day. Last time I tried this in January, I chickened out. Let's see how this new approach works. Maybe soon, I will see God and Jesus.
What?
This was the final—
Dude, you're planning on ending your life because you feel like you cannot find companionship. dude, you have so much to live for. I mean, the fact that it got to this point is sad, right? I think that this guy is extremely hard on himself to the point where his thoughts are just, working against him. I'm almost positive if this guy were to get around some good people of his, maybe he doesn't have good friends or friends really at all. It doesn't sound like he has really any friends. But, I mean, if he had some good friends that could uplift him, give him support, somebody to talk to. And I get that not everybody has a friend group that they can talk to like that. But, man, you gotta get some help, And I know that sometimes in order to get help, you have to first realize you need help. That's like the first step. I think, unfortunately, this guy took this seminar, then it just further amplified those horrible thoughts. It made him a lot more insecure. It made him feel like he has no more time to find a companion. And it just made things worse. I understand being lonely, and sometimes, you feel like you just can't find anybody and you're just upset, you're frustrated about stuff. But you really got to start looking at yourself. He could probably go overseas, go internationally, maybe go to like Sweden or like, I don't know, Germany or like some other country. You can just go and travel and meet people like that, and you never know who you'll meet, maybe you just got to get out there,
Update made to GeorgeSidini.com, and unlike his previous attempt at carrying out this exit plan, this time he didn't back out.
Oh, damn.
On August 4th, 2009, George Sidini would enter an LA Fitness in Bridgeville, Pennsylvania, and walk directly into a woman's aerobics class with a duffel bag in his hand. He then dropped his bag on the floor with a loud bang before he closed the door and shut off all the lights.
Oh my God.
In a moment of darkness and confusion, one witness recalled that she felt the presence of someone who didn't belong there. Before total panic would ensue, everyone was just screaming so loud. At first, I didn't even think shots were being fired. It was so surreal. At that moment, George Sidini had brandished 2 guns from his bag and opened fire on the group of 30, all of whom were women.
Wow.
Which was entirely the point. In that dark, cramped room, George would discharge his weapon 52 times, striking 12 different women and then himself.
Wow.
Of the injured, 49-year-old Elizabeth Gannon, 38-year-old Jody Billingsley, and 46-year-old Heidi Overmeyer would tragically lose their lives, while the others were left with permanent injuries, both physical and mental. It wasn't hard to find a motive. George had spelled it out right there in his blog. He desired women so much that his inability to ever gain a real connection with any of them turned his infatuation into pure hatred. And this is how he wanted to make them pay. And the ironic part is that this was all so avoidable, as these plans were heavily implied on his website, which had been publicly available online for roughly an entire year. Yet no one cared enough about him to ever look.
Wow.
It is easy for me to hide from my emotions for one more day.
Knowing what we know now, George's channel is highly disturbing, as it shows us a glimpse into a mind on the verge of completely snapping, in a last gasp attempt at achieving normalcy, by a person who would go on to become a monster when he didn't get what he wanted.
Right.
Just everything I need. Well, that about sums it up.
Hi guys, I am with Lewis.
What a tragic story, man. But for one, I feel just terrible about the people who lost their lives. I don't know how to even really explain this. I know that there's a lot of people out there who probably don't have a lot of friends, right? And those friends may not be people that you can talk to about your problems, right? But I think that you have to go out and find a therapist or something. Join a community or something. You just cannot be sitting in your house day in, day out, month to month, year to year with your thoughts, because you got nobody in there to like check your thoughts. Normally when you have friends, and if they're decent friends, right, that care about you, they will check those awful thoughts. They'd be like, hey man, that's stupid. I don't think you should do that. Hey, that's some dangerous thinking there, buddy. You should probably not say that, or you should probably not do that, you know? I just think that when you have these thoughts, they are just, you let them fester in your mind and they grow into something that you feel like is, you know, real to you and something that you need to act upon. You really have nothing that's stopping you. And if they're going unchecked, you know, then it could be deadly, like we just saw. I think in order for this to not have happened, he would have had to have a big revelation about himself and how he feels about himself. I don't know what else to say. That's just awful.
Having a little drink.
Oh boy, chapter 2. Chapter 1 was
Mark Williams always dreamed of being a YouTuber.
a doozy.
He had grown up watching parkour content on
Oh,
the site, becoming
God.
attached to both its many talented creators and the hobby itself, eventually becoming so inspired by it that he launched his own channel in 2019, at the age of just 15, with Mark hoping that someday this channel would make that dream of his come true.
If you ever want free anxiety attacks, just go and watch some parkour videos.
The page went by many names over the years, but eventually Mark would settle on the moniker Displace. And depending on who you ask, his videos were either extremely impressive or extremely irresponsible. They showed scenes of Mark high atop buildings, jumping rooftop to rooftop, climbing on massive abandoned cranes,
Oh hell!
from security guards and the cops on more than a few occasions.
Police are on the way already now.
Yeah, they'll catch me then, won't they?
Stupid,
Often
dude.
seen with him was his younger brother, who he had grown incredibly close with,
Oh,
which was due in
gosh.
part to the fact that Mark was somewhat of a loner and didn't have many friends in his own personal life. Though according to his mother, this wasn't necessarily by choice, as she explained that he did desperately want friendship, and he was incredibly caring, he just had a habit of making the wrong friends, describing Mark as trusting to a fault. Mark's longing for camaraderie became especially apparent not long after the launch of Displace, as his brother slowly began appearing less and less in his videos, forcing him to do these free runs by himself, which he implied was something he didn't enjoy nearly as much.
My brother, who was part of the channel, Ben, he's not now. I don't think he's coming back at all. He ditched me, leaving me by myself, and I've got a problem with talking to myself as well.
This, coupled with the fact that he was dealing with the tribulations of growing up, led to his uploads on the channel becoming more and more sporadic, as he would often go dark for a few months, only to return with the promise of more consistent uploads.
Alright guys, don't know if you can see me or not, but I promise you Displace is coming back.
That often never
Jesus
came.
Christ, dude.
It was clear that he still longed to be a YouTuber, he just needed some sort of a spark. And sure enough, at the end of 2020, he would find one right in his own comment section.
The end of 2020. Wow.
In a since-deleted video, Mark would receive a comment from a man named Lewis Ashdown, who explained that he was a big fan of Mark's content and that he would love to join him in an upcoming video, as they both just so happened to live in Uckfield. It was exactly what Mark had been needing, a friend. And not only a friend, but a friend he could make videos with. And so that's exactly what he would do.
Hi guys, I'm back here with Lewis, and we're going to do the water treatment facility in Uckfield on the industrial estate. See you in a sec, guys.
From their first meeting
Call of
on,
Duty
Lewis
hoodie
became
on.
a core part of the Displaced channel, leading to the two growing closer by the day, with Mark speaking about this bond on a live stream in March of 2021.
If you're going exploring at an abandoned pub, yeah, keep your mate with you. Make sure he's someone you can trust, you know, and be careful is all I can say. Because in the video where me and Lewis climbed the college, you know, I was constantly looking out for him because he did get dangerously close to some of the edges, but you know, that's what life's about, isn't it?
But despite finding his new parkour partner, Mark still had other issues getting in the way of his upload, as he was now 18 years old, and was facing the reality of having to get a job, forcing him to put his channel on the back burner. Mark discussed this struggle
I
and
have
many
to
others
get
he
a
was facing
job
at the
now.
time in that same March livestream, with his tone about Displace's future sounding less than optimistic.
I've been doing some talking with Lewis, seeming like he wants to get back into climbing and stuff. I haven't actually done it since Christmas, and I've got a bad back. It's been getting worse and worse lately. Don't know why. I need to go to the hospital and have myself checked out. I am not sure where my channel is going to go. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing these videos. I don't know if I'm going to be doing different videos, or whether I'm going to stop completely.
But unlike other times when he had gotten down on his channel, this time he wasn't alone, and his friend Lewis was there to have his back as he pushed Mark to continue his work, even showing up in the comments of this livestream under the name Moral Unknown, where he went as far as to offer up a potential location that they could film their next video in order to get Mark re-inspired. Will the Buxted Hotel first video back? And sure enough, just days later, the two would arrive at Buxted Hotel to begin filming yet another video.
Hi guys, I am with Lewis. Just having a little drink.
This would be their last on the Displaced channel.
Oh no.
As not even 2 months after it was uploaded, both Mark Williams and Lewis Ashdown would vanish without a trace.
Vanish without a See, I never liked parkour videos. Yeah, they look cool. Mostly performed by people who aren't professional, but they're just so dangerous, you know? I personally just never been fond of those kind of videos because they always end up being so tragic. I remember this one time this kid was doing push-ups, or no, not push-ups, pull-ups on the side of a building. And unfortunately, I saw the video and you see like the oh shit moment where like, oh, I can't actually pull myself up. My arms are tired from doing pull-ups. And, you know, he loses his grip and he just falls. And it's really sad. It makes me feel awful seeing these people lose their lives by doing reckless stuff like this, you know?
It was the waning hours of Saturday, May 29th, 2021. Mark met Lewis at the Maresfield Recreation Ground to have a few drinks and discuss their next potential video. Though once there, it was the drinks that took priority, and very quickly Mark had become intoxicated, leading to him calling his house to tell his aunt, who he had been living with, that he would be heading back now. On the call, his aunt could tell that he was drunk, but Lewis chimed in to assure her not to worry, telling her, "I'll get him home safe," which made his aunt feel slightly better. After all, it was only a short few-minute walk back to the house anyway.
Until they did
Instead,
parkour.
12 hours would pass, and Mark still hadn't made it back, while Lewis himself also failed to arrive home.
Wow.
At some point during their short walk back, both boys had disappeared.
Wow.
They were reported as missing the very next morning, and the area they were last in was combed thoroughly, though very little was uncovered. Around them had been large pockets of forest and murky bodies of water, leading to some questioning if perhaps the boys had gotten lost, or even had fallen into the water. Though regardless of the theories, as a full 24 hours passed, many began to fear the worst, until something strange happened. Reports began pouring in from witnesses claiming to have seen Lewis. Some thought they saw him leaving a local pub the morning after he supposedly had gone missing, while others had seen him at a local movie theater, seemingly completely unaware that the whole town was looking for him.
What?
These sightings introduced the possibility that the boys were perhaps runaways, causing several pleas to be made throughout the press, begging them to come back home. But it would be the police who would find Lewis first, tracking him down at his friend named Liam Hansen's house. There, the cops fired off a barrage of questions, as they not only tried to get answers as to where the boys had been, but more importantly now, they needed to know where Mark was. Throughout all the sightings, it was only ever Lewis that had been spotted. And even now, after searching this friend's home, Mark wasn't there either. So where had Mark Williams gone?
What?
Well, Lewis himself offered very little, outright refusing to speak on the boys' whereabouts. But his friend Liam wasn't so quiet, as when he was questioned separately, he claimed to know exactly what had happened on the night of May 29th, 2021, the day in which both boys had disappeared. And he knew because Lewis had told him.
Oh.
According to the boy, the night that Lewis and Mark had met at the park, Lewis poured a cocktail for his friend, and then another, and then another, each one stronger than the last, causing Mark to become drunk almost immediately.
Damn!
Realizing he was drinking too much, Mark told Lewis that he had enough, but Lewis persisted, outright demanding that he keep drinking, leading to Mark begging Lewis to let him stop.
What?
At one point, Mark's pleas finally caused Lewis to back off, as the boy instead agreed to make him a non-alcoholic drink, only for him to fill the cup with even more liquor when Mark wasn't looking.
What a piece of shit. And Lewis is the one that told Mark's aunt that he's gonna get him back home safely, and he's over here getting him shit-faced. But it's sort of odd to me that Lewis is all of a sudden trying to get Mark super drunk. Like, it sounds like he has like some type of plan to do something to him. I don't know.
By 11:30, Mark could barely stand, prompting him to make that phone call to his aunt, letting her know that he would be back soon. Meanwhile, Lewis had been so preoccupied with getting his friend drunk that he was still fairly sober at this point, and in his sober state, he promised Mark's aunt that he would get him home safe. Seconds after that phone call ended, Mark hunched over to vomit, which is precisely when Lewis pulled a large kitchen knife from his pocket and plunged it directly into Mark's back.
What? Are you serious? For what? Oh, for what? Why would he do that? That is so, and it's just like out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Lewis, man, that's why you can't be friends with everybody. This guy was in his, no, did he send him like an email or something, or somehow contacted Mark about being on the channel? So, I mean, you have no idea who this guy is. I mean, yeah, you guys did a couple of like parkour stunts together, but do you really know Lewis? Apparently not. God, that is just like, what the fuck? Why the fuck would he even do that? What is his motive?
Mark stumbled and asked Lewis to call him an ambulance, being unable to comprehend what had just happened. To which Lewis responded by laughing, before doing it again.
What?
And again, and again. This is what Lewis had told Liam in the days after the alleged attack, but as Liam recounted the story to the police, he made it clear that this wasn't just a tall tale, as he had actually seen it for himself. When Lewis had told him the story, he pulled out his phone and put it up to Liam's face, revealing that he had filmed the entire ordeal.
What?
And sure enough, when police searched Lewis's devices, they would find that footage, though it was far worse than they ever could have imagined.
Oh my gosh.
On Lewis Ashdown's cell phone were 7 total videos depicting the attack, with the footage spanning nearly an hour in total, during which Mark had been stabbed 107 times,
What?
on top of having a number of other sadistic things done to him. And all the while, it was said that Lewis was giggling manically. When asked about what he had seen in those recordings...
So he's a psychopath. So he's sadistic. And you know, what's sad about it is Mark was looking for someone that... he was looking for a friend. He seemed, I think in the beginning of the chapter, I think Nick was expressing that Mark was sort of like, you know, he didn't have any friends. And he would do these things with his brother. But Lewis comes along and pretty much replaced his brother. But it's like, I just don't understand why all of a sudden Lewis decides to do this to Mark. I mean, so unprovoked. And the fucked up thing about it is this guy told his aunt that I will get him home safely. And as soon as he hung up, he stabs him 107 times in the back.
Liam provided further detail on just how awful the attack was, recounting that he ripped Mark's eyes out.
What?
Proper psychotic stuff. I was going into shock. I was shocked how he came out with it. I wanted to run and tell someone. This was clearly not a normal crime. It displayed a level of evil and hatred that goes past human comprehension.
Seriously?
And due to its brutality, police assumed that surely something must have happened between these two to breed so much hatred inside of Lewis.
Right.
But according to Lewis, this wasn't actually the case. Instead, he stated that he had simply found Mark to be annoying, and that he had been wanting to kill him for some time because of this, and had just been waiting for the right moment.
Wow.
Plus, he always wanted to know what it was like to kill someone.
Wow.
That was it. That was his entire motive.
That was it.
Lewis Ashdown would be arrested the day he was found, and later sentenced to life in prison, with parole eligibility in 25 years, while Mark's body was found dumped in a nearby body of water, and eventually given a proper burial.
Hi guys, I'm back here with Lewis. And
what a sadistic... Oh my gosh. I'm lost. I'm just lost for words. I am lost for words. Dude was a psychopath. And Mark had no idea. I think he was just totally blindsided by the fact that this guy, I mean, I think he desperately wanted a friend, a companion to help further his channel. And while in doing so, he didn't really check to know if this guy is really on the up and up. I mean, maybe he seemed normal at first, but my God, dude. I mean, but how could you ever do something so heinous to somebody? I mean, I don't even know if I want to use logic in this situation. I mean, there's just some evil fucking people out there, guys. But you gotta really be careful about who you let into your circle. From the start of this chapter, I thought that for sure that this was gonna be some type of like parkour incident gone wrong, you know? But I never would have thought that Mark's friend Lewis would ever do something so evil to Mark. And basically for no reason. What? Because he found him annoying? Get the fuck out of here, man.
We're going to do the water treatment facility.
With this context, Mark's channel is utterly devastating. All he wanted was a friend to film videos with.
Right.
But sure enough, as his mother had warned, he was trusting to a fault.
Yeah.
If you're going exploring at an abandoned pub,
trusting.
Keep your mate with you. Make sure he's someone you can trust, you know, and be careful.
Which brings us to a disturbing revelation. Just months before he would kill Mark, Lewis was the one that encouraged him to get back out there and film with him.
Right.
And based on his testimony that he had been wanting to kill Mark for a long time, it makes it very clear that he was doing this not to be a good friend, but to get Mark alone in an isolated spot so that he could carry out his plan. And adding more weight to this theory, when they visited the Buxted Hotel, which Lewis himself had suggested during the livestream, Mark was uncharacteristically drunk.
Hi guys, I am with Lewis. Just having a little drink. Okay, so we'll smash this after we smash these.
Which was never really part of his channel before that upload. And Lewis was uncharacteristically nervous.
We're going to do a couple more bangers. Can't tell you what they are in case anyone's watching that shouldn't be watching.
Who's watching?
Well, no, I mean watching the videos. Because I thought...
Wow, he said, who's watching? He was definitely nervous as hell doing this. This one is probably the worst one. I don't know what chapter 3 holds, but I hate this one. I hate it, man. I just cannot stand random and unprovoked acts of violence on other people. It blows my mind that this guy desperately God, it's just sick, man.
I know that the police do watch my channel sometimes.
Paranoid even of being caught by the cops, despite being totally unfazed in previous videos, where in some he was literally being chased by security guards. And coincidentally, by the end of this video, we get an indication as to why Lewis was so nervous. Because he had been carrying a knife. All this leads me to believe that that night, Lewis pushed Mark to film a video in an abandoned location, then got him drunk, and was going to carry through with the murder, before eventually backing out for unknown reasons. And all the while, Mark was completely unaware, never once suspecting that the man he had been filming with had secretly been plotting to kill him, and one day would actually go through with it.
Okay, I'll wrap it up now then, guys. Yep, I'll see ya.
Yeah, there was a lot of telltale signs that he probably just did not even see, you know? And that's the sad part about it, because some of us can admit that we've all been a little bit too trusting of certain people, you know, sometimes in our life. But you really have to have good discernment about people, man, because there are some psychotic people in this world that don't care about offing you. They don't care about harming you. Taking you out of this world and giving two shits about it, man. And these people walk among us, you know? I mean, you've probably spoken to a couple of people. I mean, it could be somebody at Publix, maybe at the park, you know, at the movie theater, at your school. I mean, you never know. These people are out here, and you just got to have good discernment about yourself, or you got to have good discernment about them. You know, sometimes your intuition really starts to talk to you, and you're like, because you know how sometimes you get that feeling like, you know, I don't know what's up with this person, but I don't really like this person's vibe, you know? That's your intuition saying, hey, you need to be careful of this dude or this girl or whoever. you got to be careful, because this person, I'm getting some weird vibes. It might save your life. You know, it might save your life. So, unfortunately, Mark just wanted a friend and Lewis took advantage. But turns out it was a guy that he trusted way too much. Man, I hated that chapter.
Well, this should be quite amusing. Enjoy.
Chapter 3, Joshua Brown. Oh.
Joshua Brown started his YouTube channel back in 2010, a time when many individuals, including himself, used the site to upload random videos offering momentary glimpses into their lives. Joshua was in his mid-30s at the time and had recently finished serving in the Navy, before eventually settling down in Canton, Ohio, where he focused on his many passions. He loved driving, he loved technology, and he loved a little bit of danger. And soon, he became infatuated with a product that was essentially the sum of all three.
Tesla. Tesla.
For Joshua, these electric vehicles were a technological marvel and the future of the automotive industry, and he dreamed of one day having one. With that dream eventually coming true in 2015 when he would purchase his very own Tesla Model S that would eventually become his life and his YouTube channel's primary focus. He began uploading videos of his new car immediately, but rather than these focusing on the vehicle itself, it was its most controversial feature that interested him the most: autopilot.
I knew it was going to be autopilot.
The feature had become available for Tesla drivers in October of 2015, which is exactly when Joshua purchased his car and began uploading these videos showcasing its possibilities.
It takes all the stress out of it. Get to your destination slightly slower, but hey, at least now you don't have to worry about anything. It's just...
I do not trust that at all.
He wanted to essentially be a pioneer, providing an overview of what self-driving was really all about, breaking down the specifics and showcasing a variety of unique situations that you might find yourself in if you were to use this driving mode yourself.
This section in here is going to be very, very difficult for the car to handle. We're filming this just so that you can see scenarios where the car does not do well, so that you've got something to judge off of it when you're driving on your own.
And he tried to make a point of doing so safely, as he never used the camera behind the wheel, and always had someone helping him to avoid any accidents. But despite his focus on safety, it was clear that he was pushing the capabilities of this brand new technology, as at this point it was still in its infancy, with one of the more glaring red flags being the placement of his hands.
Here we are, stop and go traffic on 271, and geez, car's doing it all itself.
When Joshua was shown driving, he hardly ever had his hands on the wheel, as he said he wanted to get the true experience of self-driving. This was something that Tesla had actually adamantly advised against, and even had visual and audible warnings if it detected that your hands were off the steering wheel. But Joshua seemed to find a workaround, as he instead used his legs to avoid tripping the sensor, while keeping his hands close by, ready to grab the wheel in case of an emergency.
How I actually do it is so that it is really actually hands-free, is I keep my knees up, because the tack works pretty good, but I can still get my foot down to a brake, and just keep it like this, because you can react so quickly.
It was clear that Joshua truly believed that this car that was driving him was safe, and this belief was only strengthened on April 5th of 2016. That day, Joshua had been driving his car on the interstate when a large truck suddenly merged into his lane, with its driver not even seeing his car.
Wow.
And before Joshua could even react, the autopilot kicked in and veered out of the way, avoiding what would have been a certain collision. Amazed by the event, Joshua would upload dashcam footage of the close call to his YouTube channel, where he praised the vehicle's response. "Tessie did great. Excellent job, Elon." This video would immediately go viral, exploding to over 4 million views between the two versions that Joshua had posted. But while the response to this video was overwhelming, especially for a channel that was accustomed to getting just a few hundred views.
Why do people think Elon, you know what, I'm not even gonna get into it, man.
There was one response in particular that impacted Joshua the most. As Tesla's owner, Elon Musk, would repost the video on Twitter. Stunned by the tweet, Joshua would later state, "For something to catch Elon Musk's eye, I can die and go to heaven now."
Oh, please.
He had no way of knowing then.
Bro, let me just tell y'all, you know what? I'm gonna get into it. There's always been like this huge misconception that Elon Musk found Tesla, when that's not true. He used the money that he got from co-founding PayPal, and he used that to buy majority stake in Tesla, in which he proceeds to kick out the actual co-founder, Martin Eberhard. Then he files a claim against him to be called the actual founder of Tesla. Pretty crazy, right? Not a fan, and for other reasons as well, too.
But this would not be the last time that Elon Musk would tweet about him, though his next feature would be under much different circumstances.
Our condolences for the
It happened just 1 month after Joshua Brown's video had gone viral. He was driving on Highway 27 on a clear sunny day at approximately 4 p.m. With open road ahead, Joshua turned on his trusted autopilot, and it stayed in autopilot mode for over half an hour, as at this point, his trust in the car was higher than ever, causing Joshua to seemingly lose focus on the road, as he was quickly coming up on an intersection where a massive 18-wheeler had been turning left, blocking Joshua's entire lane. Joshua was seemingly so unfocused that he didn't even notice it.
Wow.
Even stranger, the car itself didn't detect this either, despite the entire trailer being horizontal in their lane. This was due to its pure white body, as the sun was shining so brightly against it that, for whatever reason, it became invisible to the self-driving AI. And with neither Joshua nor the car registering the danger that they were in, the vehicle would strike the trailer, going 74 miles per hour.
Oh my gosh.
There were no attempts by Joshua to even move the steering wheel, and the brakes hadn't so much as been tapped.
Wow.
The collision happened at full speed, and it happened so fast that the car drove straight through underneath, shearing the entire top of the vehicle off, and continuing driving full speed down the road, before it would eventually crash to a halt. When the driver of the truck rushed over to see the damage, Joshua Brown was already dead, and the truck driver could hear nothing but the sound of Harry Potter.
You can own it on DVD and video. The adventure is bigger.
Oh my.
The magic is stronger. Harry Potter.
See, that's the thing, man. I will admit, when they showed the autopilot feature, I was like, oh, that's dope. You don't have to drive. But I also felt like I don't really trust a car enough to not have to pay attention to the road. I mean, I just, because, the technology is, it only works in certain cases, but I think you still have to pay attention to the road. You can't just take a power nap and expect your car to get you to where you're going in one piece. You still gotta make sure you look at your rear view mirrors, make sure you look at the road, because there's so many unpredictable things that happen on the road, man, and your car cannot account for every single one of those variables. So while it is, I guess it can detect some things, it's not going to detect everything. And there are certain cases like this one where you just, you could lose your life because it may not see this freaking diesel truck.
Discovered in Joshua Brown's car was a DVD player, which many believe Joshua had used to watch Harry Potter while on that drive.
Damn.
Thus explaining why he never reacted to the impending collision.
Wow.
Now, this is something that has been disputed by his family, and ultimately it doesn't seem to have been fully proven or disproven. But in the end, the fault of the accident was placed mainly on the driver of the truck, who had made that left turn, and Joshua Brown, who had failed to pay attention to the road, as it was revealed that during his 37-minute drive, he only had his hands on the wheel for just 25 total seconds.
Wow.
Joshua Brown always wanted to be part of the innovation of Tesla's autopilot, and in doing so, he wrote himself into the history books as being the first person to ever perish in a self-driving accident. And while this is no doubt a tragedy, his death has led to numerous safety improvements and a better understanding of the self-driving technology that he had given his life to study.
I still would not trust it. I still would not trust it, bro.
I just wanted to hop on here at the end and give a quick shout out to my friend's new podcast called Redacted: Declassified Mysteries with Luke Lamanna.
Another great one, Nick. Another great one. Please, guys, go over to Nick Crowley's channel and support his videos, please. I cannot stress that enough. But this one was a doozy, man. This is giving me the same kind of feeling of dread from the cult and the kids. That gives me the same feeling from that video to this video. I mean, chapter 2 was just awful, dude. I mean, they all were bad. They all were bad. I mean, bad and tragic. It makes me feel depressed and sad and just overall just overwhelmed with you know, sadness. I mean, the research is really, really well done. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's bad in that regard. It's a very well-made video. It just makes me feel like shit. I honestly like these kind of videos. I get very curious about these kind of like, you know, stories and incidents. I think the one that really kind of made me feel unsettled was probably Chapter 2 and Chapter 1. Really, really unsettling stuff. Chapter 2, Lewis, I mean, again, having good discernment about people. I mean, Mark just wanted a friend. And this guy, you don't know nothing about him. And he was looking for a victim while Mark was looking for a friend. That is so sad and terrifying, you know? But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the video, again, go support Nick. And if you enjoyed my reaction, give me a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back with some more reactions. Peace!